All right, welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast, your one-stop shop for Minnesota sports content and takes. Bailey Pulicki and Jacob Liberta back with you here. We just wanted to give a quick shout-out to all you who watched our Vikings OTAs video. That was our top view count yet so far, so we just want to say thank you and we appreciate that. And today we're going to be talking about the Vikings once again.
Yes.
They have mini camp coming up this week, as well as training camp's about 6 weeks out or so. So we just kind of wanted to get into some of the upcoming Vikings position battles that'll be going on during training camp. Obviously, there's no quarterback competition this year.
There's no quarterback competition?
Well, maybe there will.
Maybe
there will be. I mean, who knows?
There's got to be a little bit QB controversy.
At least we finally have a legitimate, potential quarterback of the future behind Kirk. But
nice successor, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we got some other areas that we're not exactly sure how they're going to shake out yet. I guess to start off with, what is your most important position battle that you can think of?
There's going to be a lot of good camp battles. Honestly, it depends which way we look at this, I guess. If I'm looking at this from, the team standpoint, if I'm, Mike Zimmer or something, my most important position battle is probably going to be that opposite edge spot, Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
I get that they're going to rotate players throughout the season pretty regularly, but just to determine who's going to start, because obviously you got the seasoned vet and Stephen Weatherly, but then you also have the second-year guy in Wanham. You got a couple rookies with Robinson and Patrick Jones who provide some value, obviously, because they're taken with higher picks. But I think there's a lot of options there. For Zimmer and Andre Patterson there, I think that's going to be a big deal. Who's going to start opposite Danielle Hunter when the season starts? Because I feel like everything else is kind of sorting itself out on defense. But if I'm personally going to say which one I would be most intrigued by is the third wide receiver spot. I want it to be Smith-Marsette, to be honest, just because I'm not really a fan of any incumbents as far as who else we have on this roster that were here last year, as far as beyond Jefferson and Thielen. I think everybody else after that just doesn't really do it for me enough. But obviously they could sign somebody too, which could be an option. But I think that's one I'm most looking forward to seeing how it plays out. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd love to see Smith-Marsette take over that wide receiver 3 spot. I mean, neither one of us are big fans of Chad Beebe. I mean, he's always injured. He kind of bobbles the ball. He fumbles a lot. He's not super reliable.
I feel like he's way overhyped by the team. Honestly, everybody around the Vikings organization. I feel like I just don't see the value there. But
I think they love him because he's just that classic slot receiver. That's all he does. He can't, he can't play on the outside. Whereas with a guy like Smith-Marsette, I think he's got the capability with his speed to take the top off the defense. So if you wanted to move like Thielen or Jefferson into the slot, you could put Smith-Marsette out wide and just have him run a streak all the way down the field.
Yes.
And have him outrun everybody, and maybe you can get a bomb down there to him. So I agree with you there, but the area I'll be looking at the most is how the offensive line is going to shake out.
That's very fair.
I think most people assume, and it's probably safe to assume, that the rookie Christian Darrisaw, the first-round pick, he'll probably end up winning the starting left tackle job. But
he better.
Yeah, he better. But so far they've had Rashad Hill playing there in practice. So Darrisaw's also been kind of sitting out, just nursing a little bit of a groin injury. So hopefully, by the time training camp rolls around, he'll be healed up and ready to go. And hopefully he looks great in the preseason and he just wins that job outright. And then obviously it's sounding like Ezra Cleveland's going to be the left guard.
Which is good.
Yeah, he should be on his natural left side if he's going to be a guard, which he obviously will be now. So
plus, I feel like left guard's a spot where you'd want to have some experience. A guy coming out into his second year, that's a little bit more than our other guard options as far as what I'd prefer there. But
agreed. And then you'll have Garrett Bradbury, his third year at center. Looking for him to take a big step this year as well.
This is a huge year in his career. It honestly could be boom or bust for him here.
And then
or make a break, I should say.
You got Brian O'Neill, who's your cornerstone right tackle. He's probably going to get a contract extension here within the following weeks.
Well, steady player we got up front.
Exactly. Hopefully he'll be a perennial Pro Bowler here coming up. He's got that kind of potential. And then right guard is kind of the interesting one. Is it going to be Dakota Dozier, who was just a disaster last year at left guard?
I hope not.
Or could it be the rookie third rounder, Wyatt Davis, who a lot of people were projecting to be a first-round pick throughout the college football season? He kind of tailed off towards the end. He had some injury issues as well. But I think he's going to have every opportunity to win that right guard job. And if you're starting 2 rookies on the offensive line, it can be kind of sketchy. But if it's also your best starting 5, then you have to roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I gotta say it better be Davis. I don't love our guard options
No.
beyond, except for Cleveland. I like him at guards because
Mhm.
I think he'll grow into becoming a pretty good offensive lineman in this league. But
Yeah.
beyond him, oh man, I don't love, like you said, Dakota Dozier. Obviously, I mean he had a horrible season last year, one of the worst offensive linemen in the
Yes.
league. I don't really want to see Mason Cole unless
No.
people are getting hurt and you just have to throw him in there. But
Mhm.
it's just not. There is no depth there, so Davis better start or he better be ready to start. But
Yeah.
obviously, I get it that he's like a third-round pick, so I mean, maybe he'd be a little hesitant just because of that. But like you said, he could have just as easily gone in the second round or something, maybe borderline in the end of the first round. Depends which board you're really looking at. But it better be Davis, honestly, in my opinion. It better be the five guys from left to right going Darius Hawk, Cleveland, Bradbury, Davis, and then O'Neal. If it's not, I'll be a little worried about our offensive line on day one.
Right. Well, and then that's kind of the way to look at this draft class from this last draft too. If they can get 2 starting offensive linemen out of it, a potential wide receiver 3, hopefully one of the edge rushers can at least rotate in, maybe not be the starter, but at least have some good rotational reps. And then not even to mention Kellen Mond, who could be the potential quarterback of the future. We're not going to have any idea probably at all this year, I would think. But, this could be a home run looking draft, just based off having a few starters right out of the gate, especially if a few of them are in the mid to late rounds. So,
yeah, that's the thing. They hit on all the big needs that we kind of thought about going into the draft as far as what we wanted them to address at what point in the draft. Like they did all that, so now it's just basically the coaches coaching these guys up and just making this roster work. So I think you'll see our rookie class play a pretty pivotal role, like you said. But
so the next position group that'll be kind of interesting to figure out will be the corners. We've already kind of talked about them a little bit in our previous videos, but you got Dantzler, Patrick Peterson, Mackenzie Alexander, Bashad Breeland. Those are your top 4 cornerbacks. Obviously, those guys are going to play the most probably. Do you see Dantzler getting the starting job, or do you think it's going to be a tight competition between him and Breeland? Because I think it's safe to assume Patrick Peterson's going to start and Mackenzie Alexander will be your slot corner.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, I think so too. Like, obviously, you're not going to sign Patrick Peterson to a $10 million deal and be like, nah, you're going to go sit down. Like, it's not the point. Of course, he's going to start. But Dantzler and Breeland, that's where really, I have no idea. Like, at the end of last season with how Dantzler's playing, I was like, oh, he'll never come out of the starting lineup again for us. Then all of a sudden we move along the offseason, and it's like, oh, how much can we really rely on him? He's got his injury history, but I'm like, I think he's going to take big steps forward this year, especially maybe under the tutelage of Patrick Peterson being in the room, which is always good for a young guy, a young DB. But then we signed Breeland recently, and then you start thinking about, well, he's been one of the best man-to-man corners in the league. Like, he was top 25 in man coverage last year of like 130 qualified corners or whatever it was. But so you kind of think, well, maybe he's probably got the starting job locked up unless he just looks bad in camp. But I don't really know what they're going to do, honestly. I bet they're just banking on somebody will get hurt. And you hate to say that, but I mean, it's just kind of inevitable sometimes. That's just football. It's football, but it's violent. So people are going to be hurt. So the least one or the other will be playing. But I'd have to think it'd be Breeland, the veteran, starting right away. But I don't know. How you feeling about it?
See, I'm kind of thinking they're going to give Dantzler the opportunity to win that job. And as long as he's been kind of sitting out of these OTAs too, I'm sure he's got some sort of injury. But if he can be healthy in training camp and just kind of out-battle Bashad Breeland, I think that'd be the best case scenario. And then you have Breeland sitting there for depth, and he can be upset all he wants, but it's just a 1-year contract. I mean, he's not owed anything here. He hasn't been here before. So I think it'd be ideal if Dantzler just won that starting job. And then, he's, like you said, he's probably bound to get hurt, or, Patrick Peterson's getting a little older. So having Bashad Breeland in your back pocket to come in and start a few games huge. If need be, that's massive.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll move to the safety position right next to Harrison Smith. They brought in Xavier Woods in free agency. They also drafted Cam Bynum, 5th rounder corner, but they're converting him to safety. Do you think Xavier Woods is a lock to be the starting safety next to Harrison Smith, or do you think there's a little bit of a competition there?
I always love to embrace competition, but I feel like this has got to be a lock, doesn't it? I mean,
I would think so.
I think Cam Bynum being a 4th-round pick or a day 3 pick, and them converting him from another position, I think there's probably still too much to learn there to be able to start him from day one. So I think it's got to be Woods. I think Woods has obviously been around this league for a few years now. He's been pretty solid for that Dallas defense. So especially adding him into this one with Harrison Smith, I'd like to think he'll play even better. So I don't see how it's not Xavier Woods starting the season, but I guess that's just what I'm thinking. I just have a hard time seeing them go too many rookies because that's really not usually Zim's MO if he can help it. But
that's true.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it'll be Xavier Woods too. Because it's either Cam Bynum, who's a rookie, or it's going to be Josh Metellus, who was a 6th-round pick last year. Didn't look very good in his limited playing time. So I think it's safe to say it'll be Xavier Woods. I mean, it just makes sense to go with the veteran play there. That defense is already veteran-heavy the way it is. So next we'll move to the third linebacker position. It seems to be between Chaz Surratt and Troy Dye. I mean, Nick Vigil is in there now, and I would guess he'd probably start the season as the third linebacker, but I don't expect that to last.
No.
I think he'll be more of a special teams kind of guy. So it'll be Chaz Surratt, Troy Dye, and then apparently Cameron Smith is in the mix as well from what I've seen. So between those three, I guess, who do you like? I mean, Troy Dye actually got some playing time last year. Chaz Surratt seems like he's a pretty raw player, transferring from being a quarterback in college and then switching to linebacker.
I want to say Troy Dye here, just kind of favoring the guy coming into year 2, but he's not like just some journeyman coming around the league. So I probably lean towards Troy Dye, and I think he's put on some weight this offseason coming in. So like he's a lot stronger, a lot bigger, because that was one of his problems. He was kind of undersized linebacker because he's a pretty tall dude, but just wasn't very large. But
he didn't look like a linebacker running around out there.
No, for sure. So. And the thing is, he put a lot of work into it. He's got a year under his belt. They're going to give him another chance, I think. So I'd imagine it'll be Dye getting the primary load there. But obviously in the Vikings defense, I think they play a lot of nickel. So I don't think you'll see a lot of 3 linebacker sets. So that obviously changes things too. But unless Kendricks or Barr gets hurt. But
right.
I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking Troy Dye as well, just because he's got that 1-year experience. But I mean, I could see him having a short leash. If he makes a lot of mistakes, then maybe they'll let Surratt play, or just maybe they'll just ride Vigil longer than I'm thinking they will. But
absolutely,
I just think it makes sense to me. Vigil's just not an athletic linebacker that fits what their defense does.
I feel like Vigil's probably more special teams or something.
Exactly, I would think so. Yeah. So Chaz Surratt and Troy Dye kind of fit that athletic build that like an Anthony Barr is. So
exactly,
I think that'd be my direction I would go, I guess, at linebacker.
Yeah.
Last rapid fire thought here. Do you think Kellen Mond ends up being the QB2 behind Kirk? Or do you think that job goes to Jake Browning and they just have Mond kind of sit behind as the third string?
I don't know. The Vikings don't typically like to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
That's true.
And it's not like Mond's going to end up on the practice squad. I don't think he's a third-round pick, so you won't do that. But
that's a good point.
So the thing is, like, if they're comfortable keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster and they're fine taking up a spot like that, then I could see Jake Browning being the backup. But since I don't think they ever do that with Zim. I don't know. I got to lean more towards Mond here. I know Jake Browning's probably a little bit better in this offense just right now, in the present time. But like, I just don't think it's going to be Mond just because they missed that 3rd-round pick into him, and like I just don't see him on the practice squad because you have to pass him through waivers. I think to do that.
Yeah, true.
So I think it's got to be Mond, but I mean obviously that's up for debate because right now Browning's getting the second team reps. So.
Yeah, personally, I think Mond will be the QB2, but I also do think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I mean,
okay,
because I think they could actually risk losing Jake Browning if they try to store him on the practice squad because he's been around for a couple of years now. And I feel like it could be like a Kyle Sloter type situation where another team might like what they see in Jake Browning and try and snag him. And so I could see the Vikings just kind of keeping him on the active roster just so they don't have to worry about that happening. So
absolutely. It depends on the preseason shakes out too. It's been the first time I've seen preseason football in 2
true,
years.
yeah.
So finally get some looks at all these guys.
I'm actually excited for preseason because you get to watch a lot of these draft picks. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially the guys who maybe were lower on the roster that we drafted last year will get some playing time for once. So that'll be cool too.
Yeah, it'll be the first preseason for them. So that'll do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Please stay tuned to our YouTube channels. We'll be posting more Vikings content, obviously, but other Minnesota sports content as well. So thanks for watching and stay tuned.